I repeat, an 80% real loss in your purchasing power in 2 years. You couldn't lose money that fast at a casino. Canada's housing market is crashing, and don't just take my word for it. Take a look at some of these unbelievable losses that we'll be going through in today's video. So Toronto condo just sold at an $800,000 loss, but the punchline is it was just 6 months after the last sale. So that is showing you just how quickly a housing bubble can deflate when you enter that fear cycle, which I believe we're entering right now. So it's absolutely crazy. And take a look at this. It was sold for $3.15 million in March, and it sold in September for $2.35 million. 6 months and $800,000. People who are betting on higher prices in a declining market, they are getting obliterated. Absolutely obliterated, and there's plenty more of these. And then there's this one, 60% loss. I mean, this is crazy when you really think about it, because you add in the inflation since 2023 as well, you're looking at like 80% potentially. I repeat, an 80% real loss in your purchasing power in 2 years. You couldn't lose money that fast at a casino. I mean, it's absolutely nuts what is going on in this housing market. And still, yeah, a few places are still going up, but eventually those are going to hit the economic reality, which is that the standard of living is collapsing in Canada and the economy is crashing with it. And then how many people are in this situation? Take a listen to this story. So this person agreed to buy a house with no conditions, and they hadn't sold their house in this market. Yeah, they're in a pretty big pickle here. So they trusted their agent, skipped the condition, listed theirs underpriced, no bids close to what they paid, closing day creeping closer. So how many people are going to be in this situation? And then obviously the realtor is probably going to be getting a lawsuit if they can't close on this house, because they were the ones that said, hey, you should just not have any conditions. This would be a great opportunity for you if you buy this house with no conditions. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. Who would do that in the market we're in? But still, some morons who need to be fired are peddling FOMO when you've actually got FOLI, the fear of losing everything. So it's just crazy, and you can read the full story. Everything is linked below as usual. And then you've got this happening to North York landlords. So somebody paid $300,000 over asking price in 2021, almost $3.3 million. They leased it out for $8,000 a month. I mean, crazy, I know. But they just sold it for a $717,000 loss. And you look at a house like that in North York, that is what generally most people would aspire to own in the middle class. It shouldn't be selling for $2.55 million even in 2025. Yes, that's a huge loss, and yeah, that house has been done out, lots of luxury. But if you actually just look at the neighborhood and the house itself and forget what's inside it, it's pretty much like a middle class house. It's not a McMansion. It's what you would expect like a doctor to be able to afford, but they're not even going to be able to afford a house for $2.55 million.
Yeah, let's say that.
So it's just crazy what money laundering has done to the country. And it was sold in 2021 for $3.267 million, just sold for $2.55 million. So that's over a 21% loss there in 4 years. So all that inflation rolled into that as well. You're at least at 40%. And let me know in the comments below, just put the percentage of what you think inflation was from 2019 to 2025, because I would be interested to know what you think the percentage was, because obviously it varies for different people. Hamilton Horror, this teardown was bought in 2021 for $500,000. Absolutely insane. The owner has been trying to exit since 2022 with multiple failed listings and relistings along the way. After years of holding out, they finally capitulated, selling for just $230,000. This is a 52% loss. And it's just absolutely crazy when you have this level of speculation in areas that aren't even the big bubbles. But Hamilton turned into like a secondary bubble because people from the GTA were thinking, well, Hamilton is out there. It's not that far away, but it's far enough away that the prices are lower. But that also means that the risk is higher. And some people are getting absolutely obliterated by this. And then you've got Brampton Blowout, this semi-detached bought in 2022 for 1.5 million and over 250,000 over asking. Lenders have taken over and completely capitulated to a $575,000. And most of these power of sales and foreclosures that are happening, the losing party will be the person who obviously lost the home, but also the bank. Because if they can afford to take the loss or they can afford to pay the mortgage, then how likely is the bank going after them? They're going to get $575,000 back. It's just completely ridiculous. And actually, the value is even more than that because people take out these mortgages and then you actually plug it into an amortization calculator and it shows you that most people are going to be paying double what they actually paid with all the interest of the mortgage built up over time, but they don't realize that. And suddenly all those earnings that were there for the bank, well, they're gone as well. And now they're saddled with a loss. So there's a huge risk that people don't understand. And it's not just houses, it's also property taxes. More and more people are not paying their property taxes, and property taxes are continually going up. I saw Toronto mayors saying that they're probably going to hike property taxes to pay for asylum seekers. I mean, it's just endless. The same thing is happening in Calgary. You're seeing this all over. And what people don't understand is to keep services the same, property taxes have to rise with the real level of inflation, not the lie that the government comes out with every month and understates inflation massively. And once again, I want to know, what do you think inflation was from 2019 to 2025? Do you think it was 50%, 10%, 60%? Let me know. I'd be interested to read what people think and their different personal inflation rate. If you do a budget, you'll be able to actually calculate the real number. So Canadian real estate bubble may resume if Bank of Canada cuts too fast, says BMO's head economist. So this is really funny and interesting. As usual, they're coming out with this. But I find it funny because, you know, the Bank of Canada has already been cutting rates now. The narrative that cutting rates is going to suddenly save the housing market should be dead because it hasn't happened. They have been cutting rates here since 2024. It's been over a year, 18 months, and still prices have not gone up. They've in fact gone down at a faster rate than ever before. So the Canadian housing bubble is quickly bursting. And I just think it's insane to come in and say, oh, if they just drop it a little bit lower or a little bit faster, then yes, it's going to ignite the bubble. I mean, even the Bank of Canada said that it'll be painful.
It'll be painful.
And it will be painful. And that's what people don't understand, even though you've got a prime minister who thinks the economy is strong.
Our economy is very strong.
One thing I know is that Canadian interest rates are much lower than American interest rates. They're lower because this country's fiscal situation is strong.
But he lives in a different universe. He doesn't have a clue about anything. He's completely disconnected from the middle class and doesn't understand what it's like to be in the middle class. And then you'll see more and more of these massive job lines that look like something out of a Great Depression. And that's because Canada is in a depression, especially if you're one of the people who's unlucky enough to be searching for a job in this economic environment. And the funny thing is, CBC wrote here, this is not yet the time to panic, one labour market expert cautions. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. It's almost like the opposite of that, isn't it? If the experts are saying it, then it probably is a time to panic. And you've got youth unemployment that's absolutely skyrocketing in Canada. I mean, what is that going to mean for the birth rate going forward? It's going to be absolutely devastating because people are not going to be creating families on this shaky economy and just declining and shredding a middle class, because the middle class is just being utterly destroyed. It's been the same way for the past 10, 20 years. And until people realize that the status quo ain't going to fix it, nothing will change. And that's why I'm here on this channel, because people need to realize that this shit just don't change unless you actually take a flight and you move out of Canada. Because the reality is, if you leave Canada, the opportunities are better for most Canadians. If you want to start a business, whatever you want to do, you're better doing it outside of Canada than within Canada, because Canada is turning into a disaster and it's a huge brain drain. And many people realize and understand this because you've only got to look at this chart. And the funny thing is, I talk to so many people, and obviously I live in a big expat community. I don't live in Canada anymore. I haven't for a long time. And the fact is, a lot of my neighbors are Canadians. And when you talk to them, you realize that these people are leaving for one simple message. They know that nobody is going to fix the broken situation in Canada. They know that it doesn't matter what the result of the next general election will be, Canada will continue on that same course until some party rises out of the ashes almost, which is not the status quo and is totally anti-status quo, which I think is kind of impossible to do because they would just be shut down. It's just never going to happen because it's always the status quo. Just look at the United States and Donald Trump and what's happening. You know, he was the populist guy. He was going to fix everything. But in reality, he's just maintaining the status quo, just with a different flavor to the Democrats. And that's what people don't want to admit, but that is the reality of the truth. But guess what? When you leave these countries like Canada and the United States, people soon admit it then, because those are the people who lost hope, because the probability is so low that this is going to change. It's a global thing that is happening. It's not just Canada.
Yeah, let's say that.
So this is going to continue to skyrocket. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this video, I would highly recommend that you check out this video here. And if you're looking for a VPN, also want to help support my work, then take ExpressVPN, link in the description. It's the best VPN out there, the one I'm using all the time and right this second. I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.